Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody, to With Insights Radio. This is Iggy Garcia Live, episode 100. 100. That's an accomplishment. That's like 5 years of hard work, I guess, if you want to put it that way. It took me that long just to get to 100. Man, we're just slow. But I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to have my good buddy David Two Crows, David E. Rutland. Those of you who know him, he's it's an honor for him to be on the show with me, bringing in the 100th show. He and I go way back, and way back even before we were doing shows. I think that's how far back we go. And then he's one of the first hosts, apart from myself and a few others, who started off with Insights Radio. For those of you who are not aware of that, a little back history, but we'll go back to that here in a minute. But and we're going to do a little ceremony before we start our show, because this is the Naked Shaman show, and we expose ourselves in many positive ways. So we're going to light a candle, and this candle represents one day closer to liberation, letting go, freedom, and the things that we kind of miss, the things that we took for granted, and the things that are no longer in our life at this moment. We've been put into these isolation situations where we have to really think about what's going on in our lives and who we think we are and how we believe we are and who we become after we come out of this. So I'm going to light this candle to hold space for us and to give thanks to our ancestors, honoring them, thanking them for being in our lives, for giving us the opportunity to shine in this moment and to be part of history. It's the weirdest way to be a part of history, but we are a generation that is very unique class. We're in a pandemic generation, which not too many people get to be part of or experience. So I have to say, it is quite of an experience. So I raise a candle to Sky Father and Earth Mother and bring it back to myself, honoring the space that I hold. Light a little sage for us, for those of you who like sage or Palo Santo or sweetgrass. It's just to set the tone. Some clearing. Feels so good. And here's a little for you, David. And for the studio audience. Very good. All right. So welcome everybody to the show. We're going to be here today is a special show, because today the show is my 100th show on Iggy Garcia Live, and I have David, who is going to represent for us and speak for us and share with us his thoughts about what's going on. And then we have a town hall at 9 p.m. We did a town hall 2 weeks ago, and it was a success. It was fun. It was neat to bring people on and share and have them talk about the things that are important to them. And I thought it was really freaking amazing. And so we'll try that again after the interview here with David. So let's see who we have on the chat room on Facebook as we're moving along. I see the chat room's filling up pretty quickly. That's good. Hopefully you guys can join us here in a little bit. And yeah, saying hi to everybody. Let's see who's on here. I got Kate, Sammy, Suzanne, Beth, Ginny, Krista, and then Cindy, Mark, Matheny. Everybody's on board.
Right.
So good to
wow.
see everybody. People are coming on. And so we hope to have a record show tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you, I don't know if it's formally known as David Two Crows or not, but it's David Rutland by any means. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you very much. I'll be whatever you want to call me tonight.
All right. You are my friend. I will call you my friend.
And that is an honor. It is an honor to be called that by you. And it's an honor to be here too, Iggy. I want to take just a moment and give a shout out back to you because of all that you do for our community. You're a constant light, and a presence that really is comforting and really is enlightening, and you're fun to have around, and you really you know, I know you've gone through some struggles and some challenges of your own here,
Hmm.
but you have been very transparent, and you've shown your, um, you know, your way of processing all of that, and it's been very helpful. And you have definitely left a very good mark on all of our hearts. So, congratulations to you, and I'm honored to be your friend.
Yeah.
And
Well, thank you for noticing the accomplishments and the things that I've done, and even my struggles. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And the Hunter Show is a very important show because it's the dedication, that someone puts into something. So, for those of you who don't know, David has been a longtime friend for a long time. He's one of my first, I have to say, apprentice or students wanting to learn shamanism. So he's one of the earlier guys that, if you guys wanted to know, those of you who are studying, but he's very eclectic. So he likes his own way, and he went his own way in studying. And that's, I always encourage that. And he's one of those guys who just does whatever he feels is what spirit calls or whatever is called to him, and he does. And that's what I like about David, that, you don't know what you're going to get, but it's fun though. But it's fun though. But
yeah,
he was one of the earlier hosts on With Insights Radio. He even had his own show, and we actually anchored a show with Katie also as well, with Katie Singing Eagle. She was one of our hosts in the beginning. So there's a lot of people who have helped me lay the foundation for the work that I do. David's one of them. Katie's one of them too, even though we're not really in the same communication we used to be. But there's a lot of people who have helped me get to where I need to get. My family, my friends, my mom, my father, everybody. It's just a collective effort, and and that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm able to share the thoughts that roll around in my head, in the mind of Iggy. And sometimes I don't know what rolls around there, but it's in there. But
it's
yeah,
always
but
entertaining and sometimes enlightening. So
yeah,
it's a good thing. Yeah.
and I'm very controversial sometimes.
Hey, what did you say? You're a pain in the ass?
Yes, I'm a pain in the ass. Yep. So, David, I know there's a lot going on right now in the world.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
hear.
So I wanted to kind of get your perspective on things and how you feel and what you're noticing, and I don't know, just take us down that crow road, that rabbit hole.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, wow. What indeed strange times we have come across here, find ourselves in. What's happened? I mean, the start of 2020, I don't think almost anybody could have foreseen what's unfolding now and how we're having to process all of this, what's going on, and
Hmm.
how we're dealing with, you know, the quarantine, isolation, social distancing, all those things that go along with it. And at the same time, there's all the pressure and push to try to get life back to normal. And I do understand that.
Hmm.
I mean, but I don't think normal is ever going to quite be normal again. You can't go through something like we've gone through and will continue to go through and still, you know, expect it to be like the good old days, because it can't be. It has to. We have to modify our behaviors a little bit, and I think it's become a little more a way of appreciating things. You know, what we have, who we have in our lives,
Hmm.
and how we, you know, how we relate to the world and ourselves. So we can bring good things out of this. We can bring good relationships. We can bring a good insight into ourselves and the world and nature, and just we can take what we want to from this. And you know, I'd been off Facebook for like 5 months or 6 months, and I jumped back in just recently. And I, you know, it was like jumping into the middle of a war zone almost. It seemed like, because you know, I posted something about, you know, peace, love, and you know, trying to understand one another. And boy, I was hit with some things, you know, and it just it made me think that, you know, it just kind of made me think that you don't jump into the middle of a war zone, like parachute down into the front lines and start talking about peace and love and trying to make a reconciliation between the two parties, or in our case, the 23 different parties that we divided ourselves up into.
Yeah.
You have to work behind the scenes. And you know, with a war, it's like one side eventually gets tired or overcome, or you know, you capitulate because you can't do it anymore. But really, the best way to end conflict is just not see that kind of conflict as a way of resolving our differences, and our,
Hmm.
you know, trying to work things out and listen to one another, and you know, really hear what we're saying, and considered that each person is really, entitled to express their views and hold what they want, and it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. We can't live in a world where everything is just the same. Look at nature. Nature thrives on diversity, and some things
Hmm.
conflict with one another, but in the bigger scheme of things, everything works towards the greater good, and lifting
Right.
everything. So, you know, um, it's just a very interesting time for us to to really look at ourselves and the world that's around us.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with your statement that it can't be all or nothing. It just that nature doesn't work like that. I agree with your statement.
Mhm.
That's a very profound statement because if everything was all or nothing, we'd be done for a long time ago.
Right.
But humans seem to think that that's the way you should be. You should align yourselves in a camp, and that's it. Get over it. Live it. Get over done with it. And I don't see life like that. That just doesn't seem fun to me.
No,
Doesn't fun.
it's almost like we have a tendency to be extremists. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we find a point of view or a side, and we stick with that, and then anything else is wrong. You're gonna hear the dogs bark once in a while too, because
That's okay.
Lori's gonna be coming home, and so it's possible chaos here, but
Yeah,
that's
that's all right.
life too, right?
Is life.
Yeah.
We're in
So
isolation.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Good.
so we really, I don't know, we really have an opportunity here to change if we seize it. If we don't, then we're going to just keep on rolling forward with the same kind of back and forth, up and
Mm-hmm.
down, thing that we've had for thousands of years, and we can do that. We can go forward like that, but I think we can do better than that. I really do. I feel like we have a potential. We're kind of like the C student of the universe, the one who, you
Like,
can do better. You can just live up to your potential if you can, but
you can get to C+.
yeah, sometimes we just kick back and we let other people do the dirty work for us, or we expect them to, and and that's not the way the world changes. The world stays the
Yeah.
same. You know, we say we want to be the change we want to see, but at the same time, if we don't actually step up and make those changes and be the change, then
Mm-hmm.
we're just going forward with the same thing that got us here, and will keep on keeping us right at that level of never quite making it.
Yeah. So, your perspective from your vantage point, from your feeling and observations, how do you think we're doing? That says
uh,
it all right there.
well, I mean, it's like I you know I think folks are basically decent for most part. People are good, but then at the same time, if you pick up the newspaper or look at the news, you see the exceptions to the rule there all the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
can we ever get to a point where we can put all of that behind us and begin to move forward for the good of all, not necessarily like a one world government, or
Mm-hmm.
everyone has to think and feel the same, but where we just put aside the worst in us and seize the best in us and try to bring everyone up to, because it's quite possible for everyone in the world to have a high standard of living, education,
Mm-hmm.
enough food to eat, recreational time, and time to explore their interests and contribute to the common good of humanity. It's the other things that just keep coming up, trying to make a living.
Right.
The competition that goes on between nations and ideas and factions within our society all the time, that we just keep undercutting each other. It's like we want to get to the top of the hill and be the one on the top of the hill that goes, yeah, I won, but
Yeah.
that's the way that it's been for thousands of years, and if it's going to be that way for another thousand, then so be it. But like you said the other day in your post, you said we plant seeds, we
Yes.
speak words, we write writings, or we put things out into the universe, and they're like seeds, and we may not live long enough to see those seeds even sprout, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're some form of energy that's out there, and we've done that, and then other people, like you said, will come along and see that and build upon it, and it may not even be recognizable from what we started it with, but someone carried it forward, and it
Yeah,
became a movement, or it became an, an idea that grew. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I truly believe that. You and I have laid many seeds, metaphorical seeds and real seeds,
yeah,
and
true.
and we've seen some of them, bloom and grow, and then we see some that we don't have any clue what they're doing, vice versa. David and I years ago were talking about how the world would end and how doomsday scenarios, because we're kind of movie buffs in a sense. We like movies, and I tell you, David and I predicted a lot of the stuff that's happening. Him and
It's
I,
insane. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I haven't really gone back to find those episodes because that's like 12 years of shows, and it's like you talk about there's thousands of shows there. But it's interesting. We had some really deep conversations of how humanity is going to end up if they don't change. Remember, we would have those. The
exactly.
show would be going right along, and also I'm like, David, we're gonna get hit by a virus, man. It's just gonna wipe everybody out, and we're just gonna have it. David, a meteor is gonna come and hit everybody, and it's gonna wipe us all out. Dave, we're gonna have this World War III, and it's just gonna wipe us all out. We went down those rabbit holes because in those times there were some things that were significantly pointing to that and showing that, and so we kind of harnessed onto that energy somehow. But somehow, I think we shifted and we circumvented that. But I think in this moment that puts us in this situation, we didn't shift. I think everybody wanted change, and people wanted it, but they didn't know how to get it, so they went to the most extreme version of change because that's what humans do. Because we can't have it nice and peaceful. We have to really mess it up, and create this havoc. But it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. There's some positive notes in this situation because now there's more time for yourself to spend with yourself if you haven't done that. There's more time to admire things about nature that if you haven't. Nature has cleansed herself, cleared some clutter and moved some things, made some things visible that weren't visible before. The irony is, in the sad part about it is what happens when you go back to these little ways of life. Are we going to start over polluting again? I mean, are we going to come in with a different rationale about it? That's what I'm
Mhm.
wondering.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I recall, I think it was probably back in 2014 or even 2013, where I just had this feeling, I had this feeling like something was coming. And
Hmm.
I would walk down the streets of my neighborhood that I was living in at the time, and I would look at the houses, and I think, I could see a time when those houses would be empty, or the streets would be just completely vacant. And I would
Yeah.
just think, there's some real challenging times coming. There's some real, confrontation with death in our lives coming, and it's hard to talk about that, especially at that moment when we were all
Hmm.
about love and light and don't talk the negative. And
Yeah.
it was hard to have that message inside of us and not speak it out and try to at least be voices of some kind of a warning, or what we saw coming.
Yeah.
And so we tried to do it in our own way, and for better or worse, that's the way it was. But it's we have to look at the fact that that we're going to have these challenges, and we can't just wish them away. We have to go through them. It's sometimes it's like a crucible. How you put something into a crucible or put it in a
Hmm.
pressure cooker, and you get to really see what it's made out of. And so this has been a way for us to really kind of see what people are made out of and what we're made out of. And you'll notice that there are a lot of people have turned to helping others,
Hmm.
reaching out, trying to be helpful. And there's some people who have tried scamming and who have turned to the dark side, you might say, or gone criminal, and everything, because that's fear based. There's love based and there's fear based. So, but that's who we are. When you put us under a microscope, that's what humanity is. We are good and bad at the same time. I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where we'll be all good, or if we'll ever be all bad, because then
Yeah.
you can say, okay, well, humanity's cool, then we're fine. Or you can say, nope, we're bad, we can just go away. We're such a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It can be a little frustrating if you're expecting the great awakening or whatever you
Right.
want to call it, because you just wonder, we're right at that edge. You know, we can see it, but at the same time, we keep undercutting ourselves. We keep
Yeah.
self-defeating. So I don't know. You know, that's
Good and
the
bad.
challenge. Yeah, good and bad.
Yeah, the good and bad, right? Scenarios of our lives. Because, you know, honestly, when you think about it, sometimes I want to be bad. And sometimes I just want to be good. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it's that yin and yang. It's that, you know, cause and effect. It's that, you know, karma, whatever you want to call it, you know, that what I see in you, you see in me, vice versa, you know, all that. We're designed flawed. We're designed that way, you know, because we're splinters, we're pieces and parts of whatever was, whatever created us. And so obviously, and I don't know, part of me sometimes thinks, well, maybe it's imperfect. Maybe it wasn't as perfect as it thought it was, you know. But maybe it's the parts that it wants to express too. Boom, let's put it out there and see what happens and see what comes back.
Right.
Damn, I made Iggy. Oh my God. But either way,
Yeah.
but you know, the good and bad, the good, bad, and ugly that
Mm-hmm.
comes with that.
Yeah. You know, so I guess I could go into kind of where I'm at now with that
Yeah, please
little
tell
segue
us.
there, you know? Yeah. So like I said, I've been kind of keeping to myself for a while. I got away from the spotlight and probably even left the stage for a while,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of get introspective and look at some things. I can say that, you know, I would say back in 2016 or so, I wanted to get down to the basics of things. I wanted to just start a real basic practice all over again. And I started meditating, and I started doing a meditation where I would just observe my mind. I would just watch it work. I wouldn't judge it. I wouldn't try to stop it. The thoughts come, the thoughts go. You know, I just let myself watch it and see what was really going on with the whole mechanism of my mind. And I was a little shocked by what I found. I'd done meditation before, but I think for the
Mm-hmm.
first time I really saw what my mind was, you know, and how it was, you know, whenever you try to watch it, it would jump back up at you, or it would throw something at you, or make you fall asleep, or, you know, it would try a dozen things to keep from being observed and inspected. And so I understood that whole psychology, the whole process that we have inside of our heads that we live in, that tells us who we are and what we think and how we believe and everything is kind of flawed. You know, it's kind of bad programming in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So can you trust it? I mean, can you really believe what you think you believe is real,
Mm-hmm.
or is it just whatever your mind has convinced you matches up with what you want to believe is real? So that was kind of a question for me that I had to really examine. I just kept watching my mind. Uh, I kept what I call observational consciousness, which really is where I think of us like this. We're a point of consciousness that chooses to live inside of this mind of ours, this cloud of opinions and perceptions and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything that makes up who we think we are. We're a point of consciousness that chooses to live in there. But we can withdraw that consciousness and go, okay, now I'm watching that process and I'm not judging it. You know, I'm not trying to control it. I'm just letting it be what it is so I can see it for what it is. And so that's observational consciousness. And when you become at that point of observational consciousness, you begin to see that things are related in a more holistic way around you too. You know, you're not, when you're entering a situation, you're not doing it just to see what you can get out of it or how you can promote yourself or how you can, you know, what it means to you. It's what's going on with all of the beings that are in this situation, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and how are the relationships made and how are the connections made, and it's an interesting way of looking at your life, because it takes you out of your mind, which is constantly either going forward or backwards, or, you know, thinking up the next thing you're going to say or do, and you begin to just be in the moment. You know, you get that momentary consciousness where, you know, life is just here now, and that's really all life is. So that that was really cool for me. And, you know, I still lapse back and forth between the two states of consciousness, but whenever I'm in that really, you know, really inside my head, and I'm, you know, I'm involved in all that egoistic thinking, I can go, oh, okay, I know where I'm at now, and then I can pull out if I need to,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But to engage with one another, we need to have some kind of a relationship, some kind of a matrix or a interface with one another, and that's really what our egos are and our personalities are. You know, I'm David, you're Iggy. You know, whoever else is out there is with who they are, and
Right.
we're unique individuals. But at the same time, you know, we're just points of consciousness that are choosing to function from wherever we choose to relate from. I guess you could say. Does that make sense?
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
For those of you who are confused, that's okay. But I totally get what you're saying.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
because
Well.
I'm around you a lot, and I understand what we've had this conversation, so it totally makes sense to
Mhm,
me.
mhm.
But you know, our egos are the things that, you know, we hear so much about destroying the ego and killing the ego. You know, I think everything has purpose. You know, everything has its reason why it's there.
Exactly.
And, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't resonate with that. Doesn't resonate with me personally.
I
But
know. Yeah.
but
I
that's just
got you.
me. And if it resonates with someone else, that's fine. You do what you need to do. If you get hit by a car, I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
Hey, speaking of cars, that brings up a good metaphor that I have for it too.
Okay.
You know, I ask people, what kind of car do you drive? Well, okay, so in my instance, it's a 2002 Ford or a 2002 Chrysler Town and Country. Well, are you a 2002 Chrysler Town and Country? No. When you're in your 2002 Chrysler Town and Country, are you your two? No, I'm me. I'm inside of my vehicle. Well, what makes you think it's any different when you're consciousness inside of your body? I mean, you're identifying as that, as I'm identifying as David, but what is David? David's a vehicle. David's a process. David's just uh, who relates to the world right now through this presence, this vessel, this manifestation of physical and, you know, biological consciousness.
Yeah.
So, you know, and what happens when you step outside of your vehicle? You're okay. You're in a greater world actually. So maybe you can think of it like, you know, when you leave your body when you die, you're still there. I mean, you're just in a larger world. You know, it's
That's a
there's different
good
ways of looking
analogy.
at it, you know, and I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at things too. So
It's funny you brought that up because the other day, a few days ago, I built a fire, and as I put the logs in, burning for a while, then I went to move them, and I heard this like my dad would whistle for me. I'm going, and the dog's going, and I'm like, she looked at me, I looked at her, and we're like, did we just hear that? And then we heard a like my dad's whistles, and the dog went,
what?
and I'm looking down in the fire pit. I'm going, shit, my dad figured out a way to communicate to me,
Talk through
even
the
if it,
fire.
yeah, I mean, it was just funny. It was like, and I knew it was my dad when my hair and my body just stood up, and the dog was just like, her head turned sideways like that, and we were both looking inside the fire, and we're going, wow, that's pretty tough. Because so as soon as you said that, I reminded me of that. I remembered, you know, we step out of these bodies and we're doing all kinds of amazing things. You know, we miss the person that we used to know, but they're having a ball. They're doing something
Yeah.
completely different. And, you know, there's days I wake up and I'm going, not that I want to die. I'm going, you know, I get it when someone gets to that point in their life when they're ready to move on, because you have that feeling. And sometimes it's like, I understand, because for a brief moment, you have those moments where you're just going, it's not going to be so bad, because the the life I'm living right now is kind of crazy, you know. You
Yeah.
know, I'm quarantine. I can't go to the store. Can go to the store. I can't drive. Can drive. Don't go to the park. Go to the park. You know, don't hug anybody. I wish I could hug somebody. You know, kind of stuff. You know, we're living in a very disconnected way of life at the moment. You know, where we have to do things that are very unnatural. You know, it's very natural to say hello. It's very natural to be up to somebody. It's very natural to, you know, greet somebody. You know, everything we're doing is completely, you know, out of character for us, unless you're an isolationist and you don't care about anything anyhow. But there are very few and many of those that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyhow, I mean, for me, I'm like a big hugger guy. You know, I like to give hugs, but not necessarily receive them. Leave that or not, you know me. You
I
know,
know what you're talking about.
but you know, but we're really being challenged right now. We're being challenged in our old way of thinking, our old way of feeling about things, and some of us are going to come out here very, very different. We're going to come out very different, going to come out very, I don't know. And I hope it's not negative, in a negative light, in a negative tone where you're kind of disconnected from everybody. And I think in the beginning, I think everybody's going to be a little more hesitant. They're going to be a little more, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think little by little, those barriers will break down. Because eventually you go, well, shit, I was going to die of something anyhow. Let's give you a hug now. We've lived with the flu all our lives.
Right.
Since the day we came out of mom, we've all had the potential of getting sick and dying. So it's nothing new. But yeah, here we are. Here we are in 2020. 40-40, right? 40 days and 40 nights. We're in the desert, man.
That's right. That's right. But there's light. We're coming out, and I think that we're going to be, like I said, cautious at first, but at the same time, I hope a little more appreciative.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about nature earlier, and nature is kind of healing itself in this little pause that we've taken in being out there, and we can see, the water is getting clearer, the air is getting clearer. The turtles are coming back on the beach and laying their eggs, and by the scores, and
Mm-hmm.
not being interfered with, and we shouldn't return to the way things were in that way. We should be more appreciative. We should be a better influence on nature, because we aren't under nature's dominion so much. We've stepped out from that. We've taken and put ourselves in a different kind of reality. But with that comes a responsibility to be the best, the best species that we can, as far as minimizing the impact we have. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't, I put this on Facebook now, what do we really give back to nature? There's really not a lot you can point at that we directly contribute. We breathe out carbon dioxide, which the trees take in and make oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We can give back our minerals when we, and components when we die. I mean, we give back to the earth in that way. The best thing we can do is just try to minimize the impact that we have on the earth, because we're not being predated on by predators. We're not, I guess maybe this coronavirus and other viruses and diseases are about the only thing that can come along and try to, to cull the herd, I guess you could say, or,
Mm-hmm.
have an effect on us. Otherwise, we've got to be the ones who take in that responsibility. If we're going to be the species that we are on this planet, and produce all of the carbon monoxide gases and the garbage, and take what we have from the earth, we have to be responsible for cleaning as much of that up as we can.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can do it all together, but at the same time, we can make the best effort we can.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see that collectively, some of us have moved into camps where we're like, it's about our health, and then others have moved into the camps of, it's about our health, but it's also about our financial situation. So we have these different conflicting opinions and different way of looking at life and approaching life. And I think if financial institutions would understand that people are having a hard time right now, I think those people would not be so focused on worrying about, doing the thing. First of all, they're telling you to stay home, right? Now you want you to go get a job, but you don't have a job because you had to leave your job. So it's kind of like contradicting the process, so, but yet the mortgage companies and, your bill collectors still send you the bills. So everybody's kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? They told me to stay home and now they want me to go get a job.
I can do both. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, am I safe or am I not safe?
Yeah.
So there's a valid point, and I understand, because everybody's in a different place in their evolution. Everybody's in a different place in their finances. Everybody's in a different place in their own personal realities about what life means to them and how they move to them. I don't think that people really thought that it was going to last as long as it has, or is going to last as long as it's going to last. I think there's a true fear because people weren't prepared. And how do you prepare for something that is never happened in your lifetime? How do you prepare for something like this? I mean, it's very, not everybody on this show, not everybody who's tuned in is, people outside of our little sphere of bubble that we live in, live a much different life. They don't understand what it means to be download. They don't understand what it means to be awakened. They don't understand what it means to be. Some people don't even believe in God, let alone a deity of any sort. The only thing they can understand is, you know what, I don't have any food in my house. I don't have this and or that, and then you try to watch the news and you see these people struggling, and then you're like, other people tell you, oh, don't believe the news because the news is lying to you. That's fear porn. It's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to feel? How am I supposed to approach this? Are these people actors? I'm thinking to myself, they can't be actors because there would be too many of them worldwide, for that. And there's your puppy in the back. Hi, puppy. I got distracted. Sorry, my ADD kicked in. She's like, "Hi, look at me. I'm over here."
Photobombing. Yeah.
She's photobombing us. Hi, daddy. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And yeah.
It's a catch-22, brother.
Yeah.
You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
True. It's I don't know. It's we have to just take it day at a time, and take it as it comes, because these are times that nobody could have really predicted or or prepared for in the way that we need to.
Right.
We can react one of two ways. We can open up and go, we need to build a better infrastructure, because most people like you and me and many people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And now we've discovered that many businesses are living, month to month too. And it's a system that exposed the weakness of what's, the system is that there's no real stability at a certain point. It has to keep rolling forward in order to maintain itself. And we pump money into it, and that's fine. I mean, it seems to give a temporary solution, but long term, it would be nicer to build a better structure for all of us that doesn't depend on debt, doesn't depend on more money getting pumped in. That money's going to have to come from somebody in the future. It's going to be paid forward to our next generations, and it's a burden that they're going to have to bear for us, and it just keeps going on like that. So is that sustainable? I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that it would be over a period of time, but it may take a whole collapse of everything for us to go, this is not working anymore. We've got to do something better for ourselves.
I think I'm okay with that, personally.
I mean, if it has to happen, I'm not discounting all the suffering that might go on, but I'm saying at the same time that when you keep, when you keep pumping life into a Frankenstein monster that just that really doesn't work that well for everybody, or for most people, then maybe it's time that it did, just die, and we can build something else out of it. That's a challenge that the kids today are going to face, as we go forward. I'm not sure it's going to happen in our lifetime, but it may. But at the same time, that's the future that they're going to have to face, and the challenge of creating.
Well, every generation is cleaning up somebody's mess, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to make it better. So the messes that are coming from all this, our children, our grandchildren, we're going to have to they're going to buckle down. They're the future. We're borrowing their resources. We're borrowing all the things that belong actually to them that we're just sucking away. But the cool thing is that and you probably heard this on my other show, I've probably written this before. I mentioned, remember that time when we would post, if people just wouldn't buy gas for one day or purchase this for one day or not pay their bills one day, and that would just totally hurt their pocket. Well, one day probably didn't hurt their pocket, but 2 months is hurting their pocket.
Exactly. I mean, I think there might be hundreds of oil companies that are going out of business,
Yeah. And, they're probably being absorbed by other bigger companies, the smaller ones. But I do believe that the reason there's a big push for us to go back to work is because these very wealthy companies, these really wealthy people are starting to feel the crunch. Even if they still have billions, if it's not coming in, you're not making money.
Right.
You're not making money. I mean, the stock market's completely down. I mean, down to, because I follow the stock market and I have some stocks, so I understand that process. And when you have a lot invested into, whatever you're doing, you're going to feel it eventually at some point. And the point is, when no one's buying your stuff and no one's producing, gas is what is all-time low right now, right? Some places is $1.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to fuel up, this is the time. What's that? You kind of went.
I said I never thought I'd see that. And then you're
Yeah.
going to have car lots full of cars. You know, people aren't going to be buying cars or houses or, you know, other things. They're going to be trying to get their savings back up, or they're, you know, trying to get back to normal. And
Yeah.
so it's going to be a long process of recovery from all of this. And, you know, it's, who knows how exactly it's going to look at the end.
I got a message from my
we'll
mortgage company. Hey, your house is valued at $300,000. You should refinance your loan. I just refinanced. What are you talking about? You know, it's like and I'm like, you can get a better interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like it's really, you see the disparity, and these companies sending you messages and communicating with you. The system is collapsing in ways that I don't think even models and projections saw it, because they didn't take into account for certain things, what was going to happen to us individually while we're in this process, you know, because so many of us are so dependent of the system that we need it. But when you get to the point where you're sitting at home going, well, this is actually kind of nice. I don't have to spend my money, and I don't have to go do this, and I have to do that, and I'm just here chilling and doing whatever. I'm painting, I'm reading books, you know. And I think that kind of threw them off. I think the system, the big people with money, are confused. They thought that we would be groveling and begging for them to save us, you know, and that's not happening. And even the people protesting aren't really saying, hey, save us. You know, they're not saying that. And the people who are at home aren't saying, woo, you know. But I'd say things are going to change. Things are going to be completely different. Next year, life is going to be completely different. We're going to approach life very differently. We're going to be more vocal. We're going to be more attuned to just question everything. You know, we're not going to just sit around and do whatever we're told. We're going to rebuke things. I already see that a little bit, you know, even the people who are at home, you know. I rebuke you.
It was a wake-up call, you know, and you know, for some people, you wake up grumpy, and some people go, hey, it's about time. So
I like that.
See people reaching out and helping one another. You see, you know, people contributing to food banks, and, you know, you see kind of a grassroots effort of people helping one another, and, you know, kind of appreciating the underdogs, or the people who have been overlooked, you know, those, what they call the essential workers, you know, that have been there during this whole thing, and kind of been almost invisible to us, because, you know, we're all about celebrities and billionaires and everything, but these people they are the fabric of our nation. You know, they keep it going. They keep, you know, they're the little parts and pieces that make it all work for us. You know, and it's easy to take that for granted until something like this happens, and we have to rely on them and acknowledge them for what they do. So there's a good opportunity for gratitude in that, and just for us looking after our neighbors, you know, and being there for one another. So
yeah, this is true. I do see that neighbors communicating and talking, and, you know, hanging out with one another and doing stuff. And my neighbors say hello. Not that they didn't say hello before, but there's a different type of hello, you know, like, hey, hello, how you doing? How's it going? You guys good? You alive? Nobody died, right? No, we're good. And then you have neighbors go, you think there's really anything going on? And I'm like, well, possibly. I don't know. I mean, we're fortunate enough that we live 6 feet apart from each other, that we don't have to be so close to one another. And so, but it's good though. I see good things coming from it too. I see a lot of positive movement in this particular time, because who wants to stay miserable? Honestly, I don't want to stay miserable in this situation. That would just take all the fun out of it. It would just be a total pain in the ass. If I can be miserable any other time, right now, I choose not to be. I mean, even the people around me who are living with me, and when they have their meltdowns, they have their meltdowns. What am I going to do? But when they get in my space, no, that's it. Like, back, demon. Back. You know? because you have to be.
Yeah, I haven't been anxious. I haven't been depressed. I haven't been, worried about what's going to happen. I mean, you just have to be open to life and, the way it unfolds around you. And,
Yeah,
it's kind of trite to say it, but it is what it is, and we can make it whatever we want it to be by how we react to it. But,
absolutely.
yeah, it's just, there's a lesson to learn in it, and there's a place we can all be in it, and for one another and for ourselves. So
So
um,
where do you see us in? I know in 1 month we kind of have an idea of it, but how about in 6 months? To a year? What do you see? Well, how do you see humanity coming out of this?
well, I'd say that we'll be a little more aware of what led to all of the kind of the struggles and everything we went to. You see some of the countries around the world are trying to get some kind of an economic stability plan going so that
Hmm.
we don't get caught blindsided by this again.
Right.
Um, I think people are going to be more into their health for themselves, and what they're doing to make themselves their immune system stronger, to help their bodies cope with whatever they're going through, and get a good foundation. It's surprising, isn't it, the number of people that are out walking and biking and running now. Like, it's funny, the government tells you to stay home and everyone goes out and starts walking. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing. I mean, you begin to appreciate the sunshine and just the air on your skin and
Hmm.
the things that you might have taken for granted. At least the people I see in the world.
Yeah. I'm in the best shape of my life. I think I'm actually in better shape than I've been in a long time because you know there's not a whole lot to do, and there's if I'm not working as much or at all sometimes I
Mhm.
have to do my exercise, stay in shape, drum every week, twice a week, and I feel pretty good.
Yeah, and that's great. I wanted to say that too. That I'd like to get on there and watch that, and if you got a drum, grab it and drum
Hmm.
along with you. And it's good. It's good to see. It's almost like a virtual, powwow or drum circle there. So
Yeah, we tried to do it with Zoom application, but it just didn't work very well. Um, I don't know why. I think everybody just canceled each other out. That's why we couldn't hear each other. So that's why we do it the way we do it. It's actually a drum along. It's like drum along with me. And what I would like people to do is when they drum along with me to send me clips so I can make a video and just kind of put it all together. I think that would be really cool. That would be fun. Just to hear, and I'll ask people tomorrow when I do my drumming to send me a little clip as you're drumming along with me, and then I'll make a collage a video and create a soundboard and a video of that. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to just getting out and doing an actual drum circle one of these days too.
Oh yeah, that should be a lot of fun.
I miss that. Yeah.
That's going to be probably I think it's going to be a very emotional time. I really believe when all the drummers get to wherever they drum, where whoever they drum with, and the families they drum with, their little drum families, I think it's going to be very emotional. I feel that in my heart. Like there's going to be a lot of emotion released. There's going to be a lot
Exactly.
of joy and sadness, and a lot of relief, a lot of uh, this feelings that we weren't, able to express on the screen to one another or through texts, through emails, or however we've been communicating. I think there's going to be an actual release, an aha moment of joy, and just this massive wave of energy that is just going to hit us all simultaneously, and we're just going to be like, I wouldn't be surprised we just all start crying together, like tears of joy, not necessarily sad tears, but just tears of joy, like these, because I can see that, I can visualize that. We just hit that one beat and that one note, and then me, and I just stop and I start crying, and everybody start crying with me because I can feel that. I really feel that. Like the 2 weeks ago, I had that feeling with the drumming. I I was really emotional. I was really emotionally charged, and it was hard for me to drum because just of everything that was happening, going on in my life, and everything that's going on in the world. And then yesterday, it was really powerful, very inspirational, and I let cut loose and just let spirit flow through me. But when we get together, you, me, everybody,
Mhm.
you know, Mary, Adriana, you know, Anthony, you know, Kate, Hayden, everybody gets together, Krista and everybody, we're just going to have this amazing experience with one another.
Yeah.
We're all just going to be in this powerful zone. I don't know if you feel that, but I feel that. And I don't know if anybody on online feels that, everybody on Facebook feels that, but I really truly feel that coming.
No, I totally do too. I know it's going to be just a powerful experience and a connection that we haven't had in so long, you know, where we realize, you know, we really are all one tribe, one spirit,
Yeah.
all my relations. It's
Yeah.
going to be amazing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you just don't know until it happens. And I tell you, when it happens, it's gonna happen, and we're all gonna feel that energy. You know, it's just gonna be very impactful. And I'm preparing myself for that because I know that's gonna happen. I know that's gonna be one of those things that it's just gonna be everybody's gonna be like, oh God, you know, we survived.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Oh
and that's what drum circles do. They stir up your emotions. They get broken energies and move them around,
yeah.
and it's a very healing experience. So yes, I definitely can see that happening.
So I'm excited to hear about the stories that everybody's gonna share. I want to hear everybody's tonight, hopefully tonight. I hope people share their stories about what they're gaining in this isolation time, in this moment of quarantine. What is going on in your life? I hope that is one of the things that we could be able to share tonight because, excuse me, I find it very powerful when we share with one another our stories. It's like storytelling, you know, it's just one of those things that are very powerful, you know. I think it's just one of those things. It's kind of like we're doing today. We're storytelling. We're sharing our thoughts with everybody.
Mhm.
You know, because
Yeah.
like I said, no one's been down this road before. No one can say, "Hey, yeah, I've been there." You know,
Right.
unless
Definitely. It's been 100 years since we've had a pandemic in this country, and I don't think many of those people are still around. So this is our moment. You know, this, like I said, it's the crucible we pass through that kind of shows what we're made of. So
yeah,
we'll see what comes out on the other side. You know.
yeah. You know what's funny is when you think about those people who have been in pandemics and situations like that. There's so many stories that were never told. You know, there's so many stories that were never shared because we're in the same boat. There's going to be so many stories that will never be heard unless somebody opens their mouth and speaks it. So I'm hoping that people share their stories if they're willing to.
Keep a journal, write it down, even if you don't
Yeah,
want to talk about it. You know.
yeah. Because right now it's just very powerful. You know, very powerful time for us to do what we need to do.
Hmm.
I'm really excited about it. So, what would you like to leave with our listeners, David?
I'd like to just say that I'm not going to tell you it's going to be okay, but it's going to be better
Mm-hmm.
for us all. You know, in the long run, I think we're like we were talking about people, human beings. We step up to challenges in ways that we never really know what we're going to come out the other side of it, but we do come out, and we do come out stronger, and we come out with some perspective and some insight. We'll fall down again. You know, we rise, we fall, we rise, we fall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we get back up again. You know, it's like that song, I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Yeah.
Never going to keep me down. You know,
Right.
that's the human race, you know, and we may never come to that great awakening that we all would like this to have, you know, and we may never get to that Star Trek moment when we're zooming through space, you know, in starships and everything, and everyone's
Mm-hmm.
put their problems stuff behind them. We may, but we may not, and it's got to be okay either way, because this is our story. This is the story we're writing on planet Earth right now, and everyone's a part of it. Everyone's a piece
Right.
of that story, and has something to contribute one way or another. You know, what you do, what you don't do, you have the free will to make a contribution in any way you want. And and I just want to leave people with the fact that there's more in you than you might think there is. You know, there's greater strength, there's greater um, encouragement than you might see. But don't listen to the bad programming in your mind. step outside of that and just be in that larger sense in the world, and look to nature, because nature is so timeless and so cyclical, and it's got its systems and it's got its ways, you know, and we can be part of that too. You know, we don't have to be fretting and fussing about what is wrong all the time when everything's taken care of, you know.
Right.
Everything really is taken care of. So I hope that's encouraging to some people. That's where I'm at. So I want to thank you again for having me on and letting me share.
Yeah, well, anytime. I miss doing shows with you. We and I did shows for so many years. It was kind of like it was like a bad breakup for a moment. It's like
Yeah,
she's gone. No, but we had to go where we had to do. We went our ways. We had to go. But those were some really powerful moments, because this is the powerful moments where I learned about how you saw the world, and how you shared with the world and things like that. So for me, it was a really amazing experience to tag team and work with you over the years. So it's not it's not forgotten.
The shaman walks we did, and the drummings and the very special moments that we had, those still live on in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's things to come that we can't even imagine. So
absolutely, I totally agree with that.
The little David figure that you gave me.
Oh, that's funny.
He's here on my desk, and I've also got Fred Flintstone. Yabba dabba do.
I like his hat. What do I call it there? What is it? Water buffalo or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. No, Dave and I go way back, guys. So you're wondering, we shenanigans, we get into shenanigans together over the years. But yeah, and we still
Panda
do.
And Crow.
We still do. Yeah. Panda and Crow. That's right. But yeah, thanks, David. So hopefully stick around with us for a little bit of the town hall. This we're getting ready to phase into. So those of you who are watching on Facebook, I'm about to send you a link, and that link is for you to come on and join David and I and everybody who's going to be on the show. That link is for coming on and being in the town hall with us and share. So pass that link around, and when people ask for it, so you guys can copy and paste that. The format's pretty laid back. It's pretty chill. So those of you who come on, make sure you have your videos and audios on. Make sure you have your clothes on. We don't need any weirdness tonight, okay? You get enough weirdness in the world.
That's right.
All right, but people will join as we go. David, they'll come on, they'll click through on the link, and they'll join us. Basically, we just talk about what's going on in our lives. So hopefully today we can talk about current events. What I would really like to know today is what you have experienced in this lockdown, what you have experienced during this time, what is going on. That's kind of what I'm looking for today. Hopefully that's something that we're able to share. Hopefully today. And that's kind of what I would like to see happen. And for those of you who have, make sure your headphones are on, and maybe you switch over to the Zoom app or turn down your speakers from Facebook, because it will feed back into my feed. And so we don't want that. Not good for business. But we're going to share, and I'm going to unmute people, and basically just it's kind of like we don't really have a talking feather. We just kind of interject, or I ask somebody. And so we have Jennifer here. She's joining us. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Iggy.
Yeah, she was I interviewed her last week. So, and so basically that's what we're hoping for today, that when you join us, that you share your epiphanies that you're having in this time of lockdown, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has so many different words for it. Some people call it quarantine. Some people call it isolation. Some people are like, I don't want to call it that.
It's prison.
It's prison, No. So we're just gonna start. So Jennifer, anything you want to share with us? You kind of heard what I've laid down there for the topic for today in our little town hall.
I heard most of it. I was having some connection issues, so I popped out and in a couple times.
Okay.
So yeah, I missed a little bit of it. Maybe I don't know, probably 10 minutes
just
total.
Wave to everybody.
So hi, and Yeah, so I guess probably one of the biggest things that has been going through my mind this week that I've really been considering and pondering is really looking at the bigger picture of like what's happening, looking at it through archetypes and kind of what's the message behind it. And I keep coming back to the message is exploring our inner space. It's like that's the next frontier. That's where we're headed, is like really a lot of us have been doing that anyhow. And I think those of us who have been doing the inner exploration prior to this, it seems to me that the skills that we've developed are helping us get through this with our sanity a little bit better than some of the people who seem to be spiraling. And it's kind of evident that they haven't been doing self-work. So I think it's highlighting the importance of that type of work. And it really is for me. And, again, kind of looking at the bigger picture, it's almost like this is a necessary step. As hard as it is, like people don't change willingly. And we have to be backed into a corner. And I don't think we as people have the ability to back ourselves into a corner like this. I mean, there's something bigger going on. I mean, it's like a higher intelligence that because whenever something divine happens, we always hear that, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Well, the universe, the Lord, whatever that divine higher power, great spirit is, whatever we call it, that force is going to do whatever is necessary to wake us up.
Okay.
And sometimes that's a bitch slap.
A bitch slap.
So.
Yep.
So.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate that.
So that's kind of what I've been pondering this week.
That's a big ponder.
Yeah.
All right. So, Krista, you're up.
Oh, cool. Well, hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
As you know, I do by phone. I don't do by computer, so I always got to make sure. So for me, it's been the little things. I've been out in the parks a lot. Me and my barefoot, my muddy paw prints are everywhere. What I'd like to share is what I actually experienced today. I went to a new park, someplace I don't usually go, and lots of bikes, lots of kids, lots of families. And I'm just walking off on my own, me and nature. And there's like a 3-family group on their bikes, and they're coming up behind me. So I moved over so they had room. Well, one of them had got off the bike way back and they stopped. But just before that, there's a little boy on a tandem bike with mom, about 4. And he goes, "Why don't you have any shoes on? Why are you walking without your shoes?" I'm like, "I'm always barefoot." Right. And he's hollering at me as they're passing me. He goes, "Well, why?" And I said, "So I can feel Mother Earth between my feet." Well, then they stopped, and he stops right next to me. And he's kind of, his mom's like, she likes to feel the ground's energy while she walks. I'm like, oh, I got a family that gets it. Nice. It's like, David. Cool. So I always have crystals. So I said, "Do you want to see something real neat?" I pulled out my crystals and I poured a few in my hand. Well, the mother recognized my tiger's eye. The little boy's like, "Oh, can I?" And I said, "Please." And he's like, "Can I have it?" I'm like, "Oh no, that one's kind of special." But I poured a couple more out, and in my little tiny peridot. I've lost more little peridots to Mother Earth than I care to think about. And why she wanted to go today, I have no idea. I was like, "What do you mean you're coming with me on this walk? I don't take little crystals." She's like, No, I gotta go. I no sooner he held her and he puts her back in my hand when she drops to the ground. And he hops off the bike, picks her up, gives her back. We talked a little bit more. I go to put him back in my pouch and she falls to the ground again. And before I could even bend over, the little boy hops off the bike, runs over, picks it back up, puts it in my hand. And I went, "Light bulb." And I looked at the little boy. I said, "You got a pocket?" "Yeah." I said, "Is it safe?" And Mom goes, well, I've got a safe pocket. And I said, somebody wants to come and live with you. And I gave him that little peridot, and his face lit up, and he grabbed it as tight as he could. He was not going to let it go. And Mom's like, you better let me put it away for safekeeping.
Yeah.
So as he's riding away, he turns back and hollers at me. He says, if you got another one, you can give it to me. And I'm like, well, anytime. We'll see if I run into you again.
No.
But I mean, it was just the fact of sharing something with a 4-year-old, someone that young who got it. And his mom was like, she goes, well, I'm not surprised. I said, why? She goes, well, their grandmother is the one that turned us on to all this. And I said, okay. She goes, and her name was Chris. And I introduced myself as Chris to little kids because Krista can be a little tongue-tying for them. But I was like, yep, that's why she wanted to come with me today. She was meant to belong to that little boy. So
that's awesome.
For me, it's the little things now that I can see and I can be and have with people that perfect strangers. I've had that a lot lately, and that's what's important to me is the little things in life right now. Awesome. Big picture, as David said, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. I can't control it. I can't change it. I don't stress about things I can't do anything about. Right. I don't. That's how I always have been, and now more so than ever. And I'm in a situation where I can't. I mean, I'm not working. I have no unemployment as I wasn't working when all this came down. You know, I'm fortunate that I'm able to live where I'm at, but I'm like, no, I can't. I said, Divine's got a plan for me. Things will work out as they should. And that's what I go with every day. All right. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, hold that thought. Let's move over here. Let's move over here to Sammy real quick so he can share what's going on in his life. Then we'll move over to Kate. Hi, Kate. So you popped in there. So, all right, here we go.
So, before all this happened, I would go for walks around town, and it was just to go walk for a walk. Now, when I go, I feel more connected to the surrounding environment, the earth. And I noticed little minute details that I didn't notice before about like how the energy moves, and you know the wind blows on across your face. It's a little bit different than before. I'm noticing that I'm more at peace with myself than before.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know what it is, and it's one of those you just in our physical mind you just can't put our fingers on it. You just can't put a physical attribute to it. It's not physical. It's mental and it's spiritual for me.
Very good. Awesome. All right, hold your thoughts. We're going to move on down the line here. And welcome, Kate, to the town hall meeting. Welcome to the show.
Just giving an update on where we're at, Iggy. Is that where we are?
Just what we're doing is we're sharing what has inspired you, what kind of creation has come out of being in this isolation of sorts kind of thing. Whatever you want to share, really.
Well, I had, and as you know, a rather impactful last 2 weeks. In the midst of all of this and in the midst of being in quarantine, I lost my very sweet dear kitty last week, who I'd had him for 13 years, and he had cancer and then ended up having a stroke at the end and then passed. Oh. And it was 2 days before my birthday. So that was really something. He had a really beautiful passing, I'll say. And it was, as hard as it is, it's a heartbreak. And there's a lot of grief in that space for me. And there's a lot of loss in that space. But it was also really beautiful. And there were just so many lessons for me about love and what love is and what loss is. And in many ways, grief is sort of, it's like that last act of love that you have for somebody. Right. For any living being, and I was also met with just this tremendous amount of love from so many people in my life who helped me to celebrate his life, and so that was really beautiful, really, really beautiful. So I think I've been in this space of how to sort of come to terms with all of that, and at the same time, in that week, I had another person in my life lost her mother, and then another person lost an animal. And they often say that the deaths come in three. And so it seemed like quite a few people in that space right then. So I think right now I'm just sort of processing and coming back into center and trying to figure out how to heal and to move forward in what is really kind of extraordinary circumstances.
Very good. Very good. I know that right now grieving is, there's all types of grieving. Yeah, Jennifer and I had a conversation last week about, you know, just the grief and the stuff that everybody goes through and how we're handling it, how we're dealing with it. And so what I'm asking everybody here today is, I know everybody's going through their personal journeys and everybody's going through their feelings of emotion, but what is something very significant that has happened that you didn't have happen to you before, that you are more aware of now, you know, since you're in this position of being, you know, available to the process? So anybody can raise their hand or just let me know if they want to share real quick. Not everybody raise their hand at once. All right, okay.
You know me, I'll always go first.
Krista. Yeah.
Yeah, you know me. I'm like Sammy. For me, the energy has been phenomenal. What I can see now, what's made available to me, I go for a walk in the woods and the trees. I can see their energy. Before it was just I could feel it. Now I can see it. I can see the energy of the animals. Like, I mean, it's just been phenomenal for me. What I've been going through, the journeys. I won't even go there. But you know, the other night, our drumming just last night. I had so many animals. I had my pride of lions, and it was just an unbelievable journey the whole night. And it's like that for me has been the most significant, I think, especially these last few weeks, is just the shifting in the energy and what I see and what I feel from before. That's been big for me.
All right, cool. Thank you. So really quick, I want to do the Brady Bunch thing. Looking down, side, hey. You can say, hey, how's it going, guys? Hey. So now that's out of the way because that's been on my mind, rolling around my head. The Brady Bunch. But yeah, for me, I'm going to share for me is more being in the quiet zone, which I've always kind of in the quiet zone, but this is like really the quiet zone for me, where I can actually just don't want any contact with anybody. It's been like that. Like I've not really wanted to be out in public too much or do too much. And there's days when my body just doesn't want to do anything. Excuse me, I listen to my body and I roll with it. There was one day I was supposed to do a drum circle and I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to lay down, take a nap. And I didn't wake up till like 10 o'clock at night. But yesterday I said, I'm going to take a nap and I'm going to get up. And you know what? I set an alarm. And that thing was snoozing, man. I was like, shit, 7:30. And then eventually at 7:45, I got ready. And then I just, before the show came out, I just, the spirit, just let me be natural about it. Don't let me, let's just let it flow, you know, just let it be. You know, because everything, I have so much practice and laid out how I do things. And I just want to let it just let it happen. So it turned into story time. And then I spoke to Kate a little bit and she was telling me it was like watching a VH1 documentary about, you know, so I'm going to let her kind of talk about that because I was kind of interested about what her perception of that.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself over here. No, it was phenomenal. It was, I think, one of the best the best live stream drummings you've done. Krista's agreeing with me down there. As you know, being your student, I really appreciate the way that you teach, but that you were really in the energy and how you were teaching and how you explained all of the different pieces of the ceremony, how you explained to folks how to drum, how inclusive that was. It was like a behind the scenes peek into what is really happening in a drum circle in a way that was so approachable. And I think, at least for me, it resonated in such a strong way. Like it just felt so inclusive. And it felt like everybody, no matter where you were at, you could be a part of this really beautiful process, this really deeply sacred process, but in such a, I don't know, just a very approachable way, I thought, for people. And I felt so connected. I had one of the most powerful meditations I've had in a very, very long time during the meditation portion of the circle last night, and I just felt so connected. I felt connected into the work. I felt connected into the energy. I felt connected into the group, which is remarkable in this circumstance when we're doing this virtually. Like usually you're in the room and you feel the energy, but it was remarkable. It was truly remarkable.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I always try to get a handle of what's going on, you know. So, but I like last night, I was like, I just act like everybody was in the room. I just closed my eyes and I visualized like everybody was there with me, and you know, it made the biggest difference in the ceremony. And David knows that when we do Trump circles, we're in ceremony. Excuse me, pardon me, a little residue of COVID. But I do have to say, I do think that at one time I may have been infected. I wanted to say that because I had some of the symptoms of it, but the symptoms are different for everybody. Now we're switching a little bit here, but I'm wondering if any of you guys have felt any of these symptoms or any of these, coughs or these fevers. Because last Saturday I had like a really high fever, and I was like a dry cough, but I wasn't. My body was tired. I was really tired. I was worn out, and I'm like, oh great. I'm thinking to myself, okay, and I'm praying. I'm going, God, don't let this be the day. And communicating with some of my friends, and I told them that I said, I'm like drained, totally wiped out. Has anybody else felt that? Just unmute yourselves and just come on.
Can you hear me, Iggy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When I get something, and I know if I get it, I'm usually over it in a day if I just stay on it. If I focus on it and I just, I'm going to either sweat it out or I'm going to just, drink a lot of water or something, and I can get over it. So it wouldn't surprise me if I got tested and they said, "Oh, you've been exposed to it, and you've had it, and you're done with it." But
yeah,
but it is also kind of a very strong thing too. So it can also come and just wipe you out. So, but yeah, that's the way I process. Whenever I feel like I'm coming down with something, I'll jump right on it, and I'm usually over it in a day or two. So.
Yeah.
It's probably been over a decade since I've had something that really just laid me out. So
it's a real thing, David. I was kind of like, oh man, I was like kind of nervous a little bit because when I get sick, I usually get down pretty hard, but this was like really, I was like, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I was like kind of quiet about it, real secretive about it. Like I didn't want to like spook anybody in my house or freak anybody else. I just stayed in the basement like all day long and just stayed under the covers and administered, whatever I did. And it took a good day or two to get back into some kind of rhythm. I talked to Kay a little bit about this because she checks in on me from time to time, make sure that I'm doing okay, And so, and I told her, I said, I wasn't feeling good, and it's just really, it felt really crappy, and it was just. But I feel better now. I'm like, now I feel like really energetic. It's like my energy, like my body, my whole energy is just like has gone up a couple levels. It's almost like I had to let go of some things in order to like level up. That's kind of my thinking. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not. If anybody wants to jump on that. How about you, Jennifer? What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree that you kind of have to shed some of the old habits, old patterns, old beliefs, old thought processes. If you're going to level up, I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, because that's just how I felt. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything you want to share? Something that's on your mind that, I don't want to just own the town hall here by myself, So just raise your hand if you something you want to share, and then I'll just unmute you as we go. So anybody, don't be shy.
I've talked too much already. So
yeah. And those of you who are listening to the show, there's a link there. I'm going to send it one more time. You can join us on the show and just kind of be part of what's going on here. And this is an open forum to share our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions of what's happening. There's a lot happening right now in the world, and there's a lot not happening in the sense of normalcy that we are used to. So I don't know. Anybody have any ideas or anything they want to share that maybe they've been just kind of holding back and just want to talk about?
I've just been doing a whole lot of self-care in the last couple of weeks. Realizing, like, taking more time to practice self-awareness and realize when I'm getting fatigued or exhausted or starting to feel overwhelmed or anxious, because this type of situation, some of those things can sneak in, and it's like the frog in the pot. You don't realize it's happening until it's way too late.
Right.
So it's just a good idea to be a little more attentive to self-awareness, taking more breaks, not trying to push myself as hard to get things done like I would a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
get you.
and emotionally, I feel like the last couple weeks have been, the emotions are really starting to hit for people. Like grief is really starting to come in, and I feel it in myself. You know, and you can, it's almost like you can feel it from the collective, because there's just this heaviness out there, and people are starting to bicker and argue and point fingers and blame and shame, and so whenever I see that starting to ramp up in the world around me, that's when I tend to like pull away and get quiet. And I've been away from social media a lot. I'm not doing a very good job running my group in the last couple of weeks, because I'm like, nope, like can't do it. I got to do some self-preservation here, you know, some self-care. And it really is, it's hard to witness, you know, because I've said this before, I've been saying this all along, people cannot chameleon their way through this. So who you truly are is just like exposed to the world right now. And
I like that.
Even some people that have been very close to me in my life, relatives even, like I'm shocked at some of the stuff I'm seeing from them. And so that's kind of hitting me emotionally too.
Okay.
You know, like I don't know if anybody else is having that experience, like wondering like, what are my circles going to look like when I get out of here?
Let's ask Sammy. Let's ask Sammy.
Hey,
You heard what she
I've
said.
noticed. Yeah, I noticed that. I used to have a whole, when I first started on my awakening journey or holistic journey or whatever you want to call it. I used to know a ton of people, and I'd go to the meetup groups here and then this group there. This one would help you with this and that. And as I got more self-aware of of me and my journey and my true inner self and how I interact with the energies and everything else, that circle got smaller and smaller. And now I think my circle may be maybe 5 people
Really?
that I routinely on a daily basis, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, I'll bounce ideas off of them, like something that's personal to me that I know that they have my back,
Interesting.
spiritually and physically. So I have noticed that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Quality and not quantity sometimes of the people around you.
Yeah.
The people are in your life because there's an attraction, there's a connection, and a mutual exchange of energies. So
yeah.
Well, Dave and I can attest to that. We've gone through many incarnations and evolutions within our own personal relationships and friendships that we've had in partnerships with other people. So there's a lot of new players in my life, a lot of new people who have stepped into different roles and in different parts of, sharing that path with me. So it's pretty good. I want to welcome Hayden to the show. What's up, Hayden? You hear what we're talking about? So I don't know if there's anything you want to share with us.
I've just been watching from a distance. I was debating whether I want to join or not. You know what? I'm going to join in. So I'm here.
All right, welcome.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything I want to share specifically right now. But
if you do, just say, hey, I want to share.
Okay.
Sounds good. But I do believe that right now, Sammy, you make a very valid point. There's a lot of how do you say this? What was is no longer kind of feeling, whatever you thought you had before, whatever you thought was important is now evolved into something completely different. So I have noticed that. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. All right, here we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, my circle's always been small, but now those friends I don't even see or talk to. They don't even reach out. And
Really?
yeah, and the most interesting thing for me is my family, my blood family. I don't see or talk to any of them since I've been back from Mexico, which was the 23rd of March. My mother has emailed me one time, and it was basically, hope this finds you well, love and hugs from dad, mom and dad. I'm like, well, I'm doing well, how are you? And it's like nothing. My brother, I got a big long message from him telling me pretty much to avoid my parents and not stress them out. They were exposed down in Florida, and so they've self-quarantined themselves here in Ohio. And I'm like, okay. And so it's like, I haven't heard from my nieces, my brother, his wife, my parents. I don't hear from any of them. But I do have friends out there that I do hear from. And I think that's what I've learned is who my true family is. It doesn't have to be my blood, doesn't have to be people I'm related to, who my true family is. And, you know, Kate, Sammy, Iggy, yourself, and a lot of my friends from the Reiki Center, they've keep in touch with me, make sure I'm okay, because they all know I tend to go inside and not come out.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that when I do kind of go a little overboard or a little one night, I'm a night owl now. I'm up all night. I sleep most of the day because of the situation I'm in. So everybody else is up and awake and out and enjoying the sunshine. I'm sleeping. So for me, I'm up late at night, and every once in a while something will click or something doesn't go right, and I reach out, and it's nice that those people, they're like, hey, we're here for you. I'm here, call me. Somebody who's not on Facebook, who I don't talk to or speak to very much, reached out to me one day. He says like, hey, heard you're back in town, just want to make sure you're doing okay. And I'm like, thank you. Just the fact that anybody cares that I'm doing all right, because when I left for Mexico, a lot of people were just like, my family wrote me off. And I'm like, that's your issue, not mine. And that's, it's sad for me, but that's their issue, not mine. My friends don't really, my friends that I've had for decades don't really have anything to do with me anymore because they don't get it. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine, because I have a circle of friends now that do. And I wouldn't trade any of them.
Wouldn't trade you either.
Good.
All right, Kate, what about you, Kate? You're hearing the talk.
It's interesting. I've almost had the opposite experience. But I'll say probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I went through a process where I had major life transition, and I kind of went through the same thing that a lot of you are describing right now, where friends or people in your circle who you really thought you trusted and are a part of your circle fell out. And I have gone through a process of developing a lot of new relationships, and the relationships that sort of maintained through that really maintained and were strong. But I found it almost amplified in the other way, where I have found a really strong connection with a core group of people who have really looked out for each other through this and have shown tremendous amount of love through all of this. And I think that I have felt and am continuing to feel that love even more. And almost my biggest challenge right now is to let people love me. And that really came up with me in the last week. Is I'm very used to when going through things by myself. And I had a conscious moment where I was like, oh no, wait, there's this whole group of people that actually care. These people care about you. Let them care about you. And so I did. And it was transformative. It changed the experience for me. And it's helping me learn how to be loved and view myself as lovable. And it's really been quite beautiful in a very different way.
Very good. What about you, David? I know you talked a little bit about it on your show, but anything to report?
As far as just
transformative, something that's transformative in your life right now.
No.
Hey, that's honesty, man.
No,
at least you are where you are. You feel what you feel.
Are just continuing. I mean, this is just another part of it. It's kind of the winnowing of what's happened. It's things fall away that are no longer necessary, and new things might come in to play a new role in your growth. So That's where I've been for a while now. So this is another kind of chapter in that, I guess you could say. So that's my contribution to it.
Good, good, good. Anybody else want to jump in there and say anything? All right. So, well, go ahead, Sammy. You have something you want to say?
Oh no, there's just like I start a new job at Amazon. Start Monday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Our
Congratulations.
orientation. I know the last time we had the town hall was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had said I had my job was eliminated, which it gave me more time to focus on my healing practice and all of that stuff. Well, right after that, I filled out application to Amazon and I start Monday, pretty much Monday.
Very good. Well done. Congratulations on that. Yeah, we're all going to have different roles in our lives. I know that. I know what you may have had a job before and then you lost it and then unemployment didn't kick in and you find yourself in a new situation. I know I've run into a lot of people who used to live a certain way or had a job or a business. And now they're having to come around a whole different back door and take new roles and new positions and new different things in life. You know, I have my one friend who's a massage therapist. He can't work on anybody. He's having a hard time. You know, he told me he's like, you know, he can make it one more month. And then after that, he's probably going to get a job, which isn't the most conducive thing for him. And then I have other friends who are running into all kinds of situations. I don't know if any of you guys have been in that boat. Most of you seem to work from home, so or are not employed at all. So I know even in my own personal business, I have found that people will go, well, I'd rather eat than, you know, get a soul retrieval. You know what I'm saying? And that's understandable, and I totally get that. So, Chris, did you have something you wanted to?
For me, I left Mexico and was going to be there for 6 months. So I'm down there a month and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I got to come home, man. I can't stay. It's not safe. It's not a good place to be.
Right.
And I come home and I'm like, well, I have a car that can barely get me 2 miles from where I live. So I can't get a job that I can drive any distance. And it's like, I don't live in the greatest of neighborhoods. So it's like jobs close by are like, yeah, let's go work for Chipotle. You know, I don't have a lot of options. And I'm reaching that point. I'm like, I'm not going to have a choice. But I got my messages, which is, you know, I can't even sell my car right now. I lost the title, which is my own silliness. But I can't even get a new title until the title places are back open for us.
Oh wow.
So it's like I can't even get rid of it to get money together to get another car so I can get a better job. Wow. So I got a message the other day that was like, just get someplace close that you can walk, whatever it is. And I'm like, I can do that. And then I can get the money together. Hopefully the title places will open up soon. I can sell the car. I can get that $1,000, $1,500 car I need so that I can get back to work and drive to wherever I have to drive to get that job. And once I get there, man, look out. Because awesome. I'm on the move, man. So yeah, one thing at a time, one step at a time. And that's the hardest part for me. Because I came back with nothing. I came back with no money. I came back with, I think, $50 to my name when I came back. Wow. So when, you know, they talk about the stimulus and, you know, oh, I need that. And I'm like, yeah, but how many of those people, not all, but a lot, you still have your jobs. You still, even if you're working from home, you have something. You have family to count on. You have, you know, who you're living with. I'm not in that situation. He's been nice enough so far. I don't have to pay anything, but that's not going to last forever. And I'm like, I got to get my shit together. Pardon my French, but I got to get it together, man. I got to get moving. I got to get out. And this is like the hardest time for me to do it. But hey, one step at a time, one day at a time, I'll get there.
Awesome.
Yep.
We want to welcome Ronnie Garcia to.
Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing?
We're doing good, man.
Good to be here.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. So, Ronnie, we're kind of just talking about our job situation. Some of us are going to have new jobs, and some of us have no jobs. I know that you work from home, and so I'm just curious: is your job? Are you going to have your job when things get back, or is this just temporary? I mean, how's this affecting you? How's this COVID thing affecting you?
Oh man, it's definitely affected me in so many ways. In the beginning, it was very hard for me to digest and really accept that we have to stay home. You know what I mean? And cut ourselves off from humanity. You know, we had to make a big change. So definitely it's affected me hugely. For those of you who don't know, I work for Franklin County, actually, the treasurer's office, county government. So I've been fortunate enough to be working from home. I deal with a lot of, you know, emails, a lot of files that I get sent over from the other agencies like the auditor's office and so forth. But to answer your question, man, I'm hanging in there. Thanks to you guys. Having a good platform like this really helps me personally. You know what I mean? And just continue to be there for each other. And everyone, man, everyone I come into contact with, you know, I'm just trying to always help each other, help everyone out that I can come into contact with.
Awesome. And Jennifer, how about you? I mean, I know you have your own business too. So, have you felt the pinch on that?
Honestly, I haven't a whole lot because I was in transition anyhow.
Okay.
And I closed one business last year, and I was in the process of finishing a couple really, really intense, a lot of work trainings. And the whole plan was to launch my new business and kind of push that this year. And that got a little bit right. That got a little bit side railed. So yeah, so my final class to finish my final certification has been postponed. I'm actually supposed to be leaving Wednesday to go to that class, not happening. So everything's just been pushed back. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish that final certification, because that's the 3-year program that I've been in. And so I'm like right at the end of it. Chomping at the bit, and I don't know how much it's going to set me back, because a lot of the classes have been canceled. So as they you know, reopen the classes, there's going to be a lot of movement because dates aren't going to align with people's schedules quite the same anymore. So just have to see how it shakes out.
Right. So now we change topic a little bit, and I want you guys to be honest when I ask you this, because we just want to get a feel, because how many hours? 2, 4, there's like what, 7 of us here. So out of the 7, we have to feel some kind of emotion about it. Are we going back? Are we opening up the country too soon?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Now you can give your opinion, or you can just say yes or no, or you know, who wants to go for it? How about you, David? What do you think?
You know, I agree that we're opening up too soon. I also know that there's pressure because people want to get back to work. They want to get back to their lives. And, you know, like, for instance, hairdressers want to start cutting hair again. We can't do that. We can do it slowly and carefully, but I feel like we should be closed until probably June 1st. I mean, really, really just to make sure that it's done with.
What about you, Kate? I mean, your sector, you deal with a lot of people and food and a lot of transitioning stuff. So,
you know, it worries me, and I agree. Like, I think it's a really difficult balance, right? Because there's the economic impact that's going on, and then there's the health crisis that's going on. I guess my concern is if we do move too quickly through reopening the country, are we just going to see a spike in the virus all over again, and then end up right back in this space, and it even be worse or longer or harder to get through? And even though there's so much anxiety and there's so much impact, like, I don't want to dismiss the economic impact or the impact in people's lives and how that's affecting them and how that's affecting so many things, because that is very, very real. But the health implications of it are also very real, and I worry that we'll just set ourselves back to where we were several weeks ago, and we'll just start over, and we won't really get out of it.
Very good. Thank you. Hey, Ronnie, I was going to ask you, since you work for the department you work for, are you noticing that people are not able to pay, people are holding back, or is there situations where they're working with people?
Yeah, so actually when I go in there, I only go there 3 times a week, and I do notice that there are some individuals that do want to pay, you know, obviously for their homes and for any properties that they have. but no one's allowed in, guys. No one's allowed into our floor on the 17th floor to pay those taxes. So I just tell everyone to, you know, drop their payments off, and I'll take care of it, because I'm the one that actually does the mail, and I actually get those payments and I take them up. But there have been a few occasions where people just get so upset because of the situation. They say, I have a right. I think I have a right to go up there. You know, I'm a resident. I shouldn't have to not go up there. So it gets a little bit difficult, but there are a little bit of individuals that go, you know, physically that.
Sure. Are we open the country too soon?
For me,
I mean, for you personally, maybe in the financial sector too, that you work in. So.
No, I agree. I agree with what everyone was saying. I think we are opening it up too soon, in my opinion, because we don't know. Any one of us could have it. That's the thing. We don't know. And honestly, yes or no, guys?
Yes.
It's
we don't know. There's nothing. There's no screening. There's nothing we can.
There's testing. There's nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? So,
sure.
That's just my opinion.
Good. But how about you, Sammy? I mean, you're going back to work, and you're going to go back to work in a place that is filled with people and automation and packages and things that are coming. Not to scare you. I just scared them out of a job.
No, they have their new hiring. I guess I don't know if it's new, but their hiring process is all online, and like they limit the amount of contact. Like they have everything taped off for 6 feet distance, and they're providing like personal protective equipment like masks, gloves, and glasses or whatever somebody may need to feel safe.
Good. Sounds like
I do think that
sci-fi movie.
Yeah. But I think opening early would be like if you put your kid in the corner for doing something bad, and then they would say, oh, I've learned my lesson, and you let them, okay, yeah. And then they go out and they do the same exact thing they got in trouble for.
Yeah.
That's kind of like this. That's kind of like the scenario I envision when the country's opened early.
Yeah. And Jennifer, how about you? What do you think? How do you feel about all this? Opening soon? Too soon?
I think we're opening up a little bit too soon. Our numbers haven't flattened. Like we haven't had as a country, not even close to having like 2 weeks of declining numbers yet. Our numbers are still rising. And the lack of testing is a major issue. Testing for the virus and testing for the antibody. I really believe that we need that before we open up and really start going back. Because I think it's going to put too many people in harm's way. It's still unknown how many times this virus has mutated. I've seen everything from 7, 8, 9 up to 30 different mutations that are circulating the planet. I saw something today where they said it's mutated 30 times. That has not been fact checked, so that could be just bullshit. But what has been fact checked is the 8. That there were about a week ago, it was from a credible source that there are 8 different mutations, and it could be more than that. And if it's mutated 30 times, then, this is an even different beast than we thought it was. So we're learning as we go. And again, that bigger picture thinking that I do, it's like, this is a lesson in patience. It's almost like, the creator or whatever is like telling us, okay, you're not a patient enough. Not just society, it's like the whole globe. It's like we've all lost our patience.
Yeah.
We want things. We don't even have the patience to stay home while the people who are already infected get better. Like we're chomping at the bit to go back out into life. And there's almost like a selfishness about that. Because I have things I have to do. Don't care about anybody else's health, but I've got to get this done and I've got to get that done. And, and just like Ronnie was saying, I have the right to, go up to the 17th floor and I am me. You can just hear the choirs of me in the background.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful. That's causing a lot of the conflict. And I think it's causing us to open a little bit too soon.
Yep.
All right. What about you, Krista? What do you think?
Well, I actually have a friend in South Korea, and I keep in pretty good contact with him. He's been over there for a very long time. And so I get a different point of view from his point of view and what they're going through. And he's like, they just mentioned starting to open the country back up and lax their lockdowns. And the people immediately started going back to normal. He's like, the very next day, all they do is start mentioning it and the bars are opening. People are walking around taking their masks off, still not following the things that they should be doing. And they're one of the countries that are in a much better place as far as their numbers going down. And he's just like, it's unbelievable. He said, you have bars opening that have no ventilation and people are going. And he's like, and they have a better testing in place than what we have here. And that's the biggest thing for me, like everyone's been saying, is the testing for the antibodies and whether you've had it or not. I mean, we're lacking big time. I mean, I don't know. I personally don't know of anybody that's been tested.
You know, one of the earliest signs I remember when the NBA had players supposedly test with the COVID virus, and I was like, where did they get these test machines? Where did they get these test stuff from? How did they even know that they have it? You know, I'm just thinking, it just kind of makes you wonder about things. And I personally believe that we're opening way too soon.
Way too soon.
And, you know, I think the mafia wants their money.
Which mafia? The orange mafia?
Well, the mafia period. All the mafias want their money. Yeah. But I think we're actually putting ourselves in harm's way. And, you know, and it's the responsibility of very wealthy people, very wealthy organizations and corporations and companies to understand that we're in a very, very dire and very powerful moment in time, in a very unpredictable life, you know. And I'm not saying that they have to forgive loans or whatever, but they need to be more laxed about how, knowing that people aren't working. The majority of people can't afford to pay anything. They can barely, they can eat and that's it. And we're opening way too soon. And I agree with just about everything everybody said, because we don't know anything about this virus. We don't know how it mutates. We don't know how it changes. We don't know what it does. And I think it affects everybody completely different. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to get hit really, it's going to be bad, especially in the summertime, because everybody's going to go out. And, you know, whatever we thought it was before is going to show its ugly face in a way that we're not even going to be ready for. And yet, let alone the winter time that's coming. And, you know, the first projection was 18 months. Yeah. People said this was going to be like an 18-month process, because it takes that long just to create some type of cure or some type of antibody, some type of whatever shot that they create. So realistically, this could be going on all year and part of next year. We're going to adjust as human beings to the way we live differently. But I really believe in I understand why they want to open, and I get it. But I don't understand also why there's such a push. Why won't we just go one more month and just kind of keep people doing what they need to do to stay safe? You know, and it's because it's big money talking. It has nothing to do with the government, or it's big money. It's corporations, billionaires, the mafia, the organized crime. Everybody's in this. Everybody who has anything to lose financially is the ones who are pushing this agenda.
Yep.
Okay. And if I'm not here next week on the show, then I was right. But here's my point. My point is this: I do believe that we're pushing too fast and too quickly, and you know, and but you know what? And I hate to say it, and I hate to be that devil's advocate guy and that person, because nobody else will say it. People are going to lose their lives, man.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? We're going to screw ourselves because we put money before the lives of it, because we don't matter. Okay, I'm just going to say it. We don't matter. We only matter when we produce and when we are able to contribute. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. And that's what it looks like to me. When you're how do you cut someone's hair? How do you work on somebody? And if you're too like this far away from their face, how do you protect yourself? How do you protect them? It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. And there are people posting here on Facebook said that they've had the COVID virus and they have recovered, and they said it was a very painful ordeal. So for those people, if you're on and you want to join us and let us know what you feel, there is a link. Just click at the Zoom and you'll come on. Share with us. Of everybody in this panel, I think I'm the only one that probably felt any kind of symptoms of the COVID virus, because I had just that moment of last week where I was just down for like 2 days, really strong. But you know what? It could be a mutation. It could be the mutation of it. It could be just something that just, and I actually thought, I go, maybe I should go to the doctors and say, test my blood. Maybe I have antibodies for it. That crossed my mind. This is where I'm at. I'm like, maybe I should test my blood. Maybe I can help somebody. Maybe I won't help anybody. But the point was, that's kind of the person I am. And so I'm thinking, to myself, how do I move through this? Because I'm just like everybody here. I'm trying to figure out my role in all this and how I'm going to do and what I'm going to say and how I'm going to, survive. For me, it's about surviving too, not just existing. I can exist, but how do I survive while I'm existing?
I'm going to keep social distancing. I'm going to keep wearing my mask. I'm going to keep following the steps to at least for a while longer.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when they open this back up. What are your plans? I plan on not participating. I don't plan on going to get my hair cut. I don't plan on going to the bars, the restaurant, any place they start opening stuff up too soon. I'm not going. That's the only way I can protect myself, because it's just like, I'll continue to walk in the park. I'll go to the grocery store when I have to protect myself the best I can, but I don't plan on getting involved in anything yet. I mean, it's because it's coming. But there's going to be a second wave, and it's going to be worse than the first. And I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be here. I got work to do.
Right.
I got people to help. I have things to do in my life. I don't want to be one of those numbers.
Yeah, and we could be very easily find ourselves in a very, very weird situation. And I worry about my friends. I worry about you, my family, everybody, even my family who doesn't even communicate with me very much.
I do too.
And, because it's the stark reality that this is real. It doesn't feel real sometimes. I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, sometimes it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real because it hasn't affected me in the sense of somebody very close has been hit by it. And I know that Jennifer has a page where she, promotes the people come and share, and prayers and stuff. And tell us a little bit about that, Jennifer.
I was actually thinking about closing that group because it didn't really go anywhere.
Well,
honestly,
the intention was good though. I like the intention.
The intention was for people to put like name and general location, just to put a post up, and then I had reached out to get, because I know a lot of people who practice the healing arts in whatever form that is, whether it's Reiki, energy work, shamanism, Wicca, just across the boards, prayers, thoughts, jujus, good vibes, whatever. And whatever that is, just for people to like do their thing, pray, send energy, whatever. And, I was hoping that people could get permission before they posted names, and I posted a few, but it didn't take off. People didn't. I posted the names I knew. So I was actually thinking of going in this week and just putting a little post up saying, hey, like, this is just more noise at this point.
Yeah.
We don't need more noise. So I think I'm going to dismantle it.
Okay. Well, that's
it was a good intention. It was a good intention.
Yeah.
Very good. Look, oh, the little puppy. Oh, how doing, everybody? What y'all talking about?
Hey, I'm going to drop off. It's my dog's telling me it's time for me to go to bed, so I've got to.
All right, David.
Take care, David.
Thanks, David, for being on the show.
Thanks,
appreciate
David.
you.
Have a good night.
See you soon.
Safe.
Take
Very
care.
good.
Talk to you later.
Peace and love, brother.
You got it. Bye-bye.
See ya. But yeah, so basically, I enjoy this little town hall format. We get to share our thoughts a little bit and kind of talk about what's on our mind. I'm sure there's a lot we want to share. We just don't know how to share it, or maybe afraid to share. But sometimes just talking it out and working through the process helps everybody achieve whatever they need to achieve. So I appreciate you all coming on and sharing your feelings and emotions and your hearts with the rest of the world and with myself, because it's very important. Your stories are important. The stories that we share will be remembered. The stories that we talk about and the stories that come from this, being locked away in our little caves, as we progress through our personal evolutions and our personal, little trials and tribulations and the successes that come from it too, apart also from the things that, we don't fail to accomplish. Sometimes I go nuts being here, but I'd rather be here than in a hospital bed.
Yep.
I pray for those folks who are hit hard by this. And, and there's a part of me that's questions everything. And there's a part of me that really wonders, it can't be this big made up thing. It just can't be, and that's really my mind tells me that it can't be this wag the dog scenario, where they're showing us this and it's, it's just too global. Kate and I have had these conversations, She's like, hey, you're crazy, Iggy, what the hell? She was saying
I think I'm nicer than that.
But Kate, we've had those conversations, right?
Yeah,
we've had those conversations where it's just like, man, this can't be real. Really? I mean, it just blows my mind. Sometimes I think it's fake as fuck, but I know it's not. But then I drive down the road and I see all these people walking and their dogs and their kids are on bikes. And, it's not like my neighbor disappeared. Neighbor number 39 disappeared. Every day you're down your street and there's another family gone. No, it's not like that. Everybody's there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it sci-fi or not?
We're in the Twilight Zone.
Is it really happening? Or is TV the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, that's it.
That would be a great episode. Everything that happens on TV is not even real. We just watch it. We think it is. Wouldn't that be messed up?
The Truman Show.
The Truman Show, yeah. We have our person Truman Show.
Yeah, Lord. No.
Put these 7 people on the air together. Great. They're doing it. They're buying right into it. And all my neighbors are fake. Hi, Iggy. Out there. That would be too much. Anything else, guys? Or are we going to call it a night?
You know me, I'll talk forever.
Yeah.
So.
What's everyone thinking right now? At the end of the week, guys, I don't know what y'all schedule is. How's everyone feeling, on this Friday so far,
How are you feeling?
Moi?
Yeah, you brought it up.
No, honestly, I'm feeling great. The reason I came late today, I was visiting some family in Westerville, like obviously social distancing, but speaking like through like the screen door and so forth, just checking on them and seeing how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of reading in my spare time, guys, a lot of researching, in between work and stuff. But, even speaking to the public, like I'm grateful, like to go downtown, honestly, and even speak to just people in general and just let them know, hey, for me in my particular situation, I'm not the typical government worker where we tend to have a negative connotation when we think of government. I think we can all agree with that. At different levels of government, county, state, federal, and just with everything going on, you know what I mean? I just try to let people know, hey, like I'm you at the end of the day. I don't get a discount, guys, on my taxes. I got to pay to park every day just like you do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I let them know stuff like that. So for me, like I'm grateful, like I can at least talk to some people like that every day and have that contact with people, So, but I'm feeling great. I'm happy we have this platform, Iggy. I'm grateful for you for putting this on here for all of us, man.
Mm-hmm.
I really am.
Absolutely. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share anything real quick before we say goodbye?
I'll be honest with you. I'm grateful for each and every one of you in your own way. I don't talk to people. I don't have a great social life outside of this. but each and every one of you, I have a relationship with, and it's because of this. I mean, Iggy, you and I, you know, I'd known you before, but Ronnie, I've met you since here. Sammy, Kate, you and I have gotten closer. You know, I mean, that's what I've actually loved about this. I am taking that away from all of this. You know, I've gotten closer to my spirits, my angels. I've only got one hand. I can't do it back. I've gotten closer to my angels, my guides, myself, since I've been back, and it's been unbelievable. But the circle that I've made since then, that since I've been back, through Facebook, through Iggy, through your drum circles, through your podcast, that's where you guys have all come from.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about all this. So there's Yoda. I'm taking away that. And that's the best part for me, is the love that I have, the friends that I have. It's just amazing. You know, it's like, that is so important to me. I have a new family.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I'm crazy. Y'all gonna learn that. But it all works. Now, well, here, this is what I got sleeping on the couch. Can you see her?
She's so little.
Yeah, yeah. She's 60 pounds worth of little.
Aww.
But for me, I went through a tough part. Like Kate, I got to Mexico, and 2 days after I got to Mexico, I lost my boy Tucker. He had a stroke, and he was 12 and was border collie connected. When I say the spirits would talk to me, the spirits were talking to him too. And it was really hard because it was like literally 2 days after I got here down to Mexico, he was gone. Wow. And I'm connected. I talk to spirits. I'll be the first one to admit it. And he's one of them. And he's like, Mommy, I'm okay. And I'm like, well, I'm glad, Tucker. He says, I want to tell you something, Mommy. I said, what? He goes, I knew it was coming, Mommy. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I asked them to wait. He says, I asked them to wait until you left. He says, because I knew you wouldn't go and you needed to go. And I'm like, I can handle that. So I'm, I miss him. It's really hard because Ellie's a dog. She's just a dog. Tucker was my mate. And I know, Kate, I know what you feel.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's been one of the hardest things for me. As I go to bed every night, I have to go alone because I don't have my boy. And I can't get another dog because I'm not in a situation where I can. And cats can't have because Ellie will hunt them. So, yeah, she's a hunter. She's a border collie bloodhound or a German Shepherd bloodhound, and she thinks kitties are toys. But, for me, I miss that. And that's, a void that I can't fill. And I'm fortunate to have you guys help me fill that. So it's nice. I appreciate you guys a lot. So I'll stop talking now because I'll go forever. And then I'm going to start crying, and then Iggy will start crying, and then Kate. And
here, I'll kill the moment.
I'm already crying.
Life is good, guys. That's what we're learning, honestly, every single day. In my opinion, life is good. There's so many positives to take away.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We have electricity. We have a house. We have clothes on our back. We have food in our stomach right now. I mean, we have this to talk to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, I was telling my family, imagine if we had this, guys, about 50 years before, even 100 years. Can you imagine going through this?
Yeah. Man, we hopefully would be more advanced by then. Now.
Yeah.
Anybody, any last thoughts before we close down the town hall?
I would just say love everybody as you would love yourself.
Okay. Jennifer, anything you want to say?
I think I bottomed out a few minutes ago.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay,
She's got
let's
that
wrap it up.
She's like, ooh, hello.
Past my bedtime. But
yeah, this is midday for me, so
I jumped on
we're like going crazy over here.
Rest, people, get some rest. That's my words of wisdom. Get some rest.
Right.
Take care of yourself.
All right. Fair enough. Thanks for being part of the town hall, and we'll do this every couple weeks at least. But next on the next show, we'll have Rochelle Phillips. She's a psychic medium. She'll be on Wednesday, so if you want to check that out, she's a pretty fun lady. Thanks, guys, for being here with me, spending some time with me. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoy it. Let's keep talking. We keep talking off and on.
Yep.
When we're not on this social platform, Ronnie and I play archery, and chess and checkers from time to time. So hit me up with a game so I can whoop you too. No, actually, you gotten better, Ronnie.
We're competitive, man. We're
competitive. Those Garcias, man.
Garcias.
Garcias.
We're competitive, everybody. Sorry about that.
All right, guys. Peace. Be well. I'll talk to
Virtual
you soon.
hugs, baby.
All right, virtual hugs. And
everybody.
Yoda blesses you. Okay, bye, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
You too. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Love y'all too.